So Dracotail is the third deck coming out in Justice Hunters this week, and therefore I want to do a hand trap guide so you know how to interact with the deck and you know how to beat it every time. I said in my Yummy hand trap video that if I get 50 likes on this video, I will do the Dracotail hand trap guide, and you guys delivered and got me 60 likes in just a couple of days. However, 62% of you guys watching the Yummy hand trap video are not subscribed, so if you're one of the lucky ones that hasn't had the opportunity to subscribe yet, there's a button right down below. Go ahead and click that for me, and then we can get started. Thank you very much. All right, so Dracotail. Let's start off with Ash Blossom and Joy Spring because it's probably the most complex one into the Dracotail matchup because there's just so many things that you can hit with Ash in the Dracotail deck. We're going to start off with the two spell cards, Rahu and Ketsu. So Rahu is a fusion spell that can use a material from deck. It's like branded fusion for Dracotail, and that's going to be one of your best Ash Blossom targets because we just want to stop them from just getting what they want. They'll be able to fuse using their one-ofs from the deck, and it's the easiest access to those. Ashing Ketu is okay as well, but chances are they're going to have a way to fusion summon and get to the Rahu later anyway, so I would like to hold Ash for the Rahu if we can. Now let's read these trap cards that these Dracotail monsters set. If we read the trap cards, they have their effect, and then they have a secondary effect to shuffle a card back from the grave or banish into the deck, and you draw a card. That means that the trap cards can get hit with Ash Blossom, and that will negate the entire effect, including the interruption part. So, for example, Dracotail Flame, which is a spell negate. The trap card will negate a spell on the field, then shuffle something back and draw one. If you ash that, it stops the spell negate and the draw. So ashing the trap cards is a very strong point of interaction. So if you're looking at your hand and you have just Ash as your only interruption, and you have a hand that really doesn't want your spell to get negated, maybe you have Dark Ruler no more, maybe you have Droplet or something, and you really want to protect your high impact spell card, maybe just let them set up their board and hold the Ash for the Flame, and you're going to be okay, and you're going to be able to push through the rest of the board. So it kind of depends on what your hand is, on what you want to use Ash Blossom on, but generally I would say either an impactful trap card or the Rahu, which is the branded fusion. Since we're on the topic of the trap cards that shuffle back into the deck to draw one, they can also get hit by Ghost Belle. So Ghost Belle's probably best target is going to be one of the trap cards, whichever one is going to interact with you the best. But if you don't want to wait for that, and if you want to interrupt their engine, you can Ghost Belle both Dracotail Pan and Dracotail Urgula. Urgula is probably your best bet. It will shuffle itself back into the deck and then add a spellcaster from the graveyard to the hand. Belling that is going to be really strong because they're not able to shuffle back into the deck, they're not going to add anything to the hand, and you can keep them off of probably what they're trying to get from their graveyard. The same kind of goes for DD Crow. You can DD Crow the Urgula or DD Crow the Pan, and if it's not gotten shuffled into the deck, the other part of its effect will not resolve, so they will not be able to add to the hand, or in Pan's case, they will not be able to special summon a monster. But Pan's effect is a little bit harder to trigger, but still it can come up where Crowing Pan is going to be pretty good. Bystials, on the other hand, not so good because none of these monsters are dark or light attribute, with the exception of Malulu. So Malulu is the one dark attribute Dracotail monster. We're going to keep it kind of in engine here. You know, if Dracotail is paired with something else that's lighter dark attribute, yeah, maybe Bystial is going to be okay in that, but against the Dracotail engine itself, Bystials are not going to be very strong. Against the branded version, you know, if they're going for Albion and trying to make Mirror Jade, on Albion's effective fuse, you can Bystial out the Fallen of Albaz out of the graveyard, and that will stop the Mirror Jade from coming out. So that's a pretty strong Bystial target if the branded version takes off, but generally against the Dracotail engine, it's not good at all. Let's talk about Ghost Ogre really quick. Ghost Ogre is not that great against fusion decks in general. I think my favorite Ogre situation is if your opponent goes normal summon Malulu and then activates effective fuse. They're probably trying to use that Malulu as fusion material. So if you chain Ogre to that, pop the Malulu, they're going to have to resolve the fusion with monsters from their hand only. And that might force them into something that, using materials they didn't want to use. For example, if they only have one Dracotail monster and one Handtrap, they might be forced to get rid of the Handtrap as fusion material, which is going to be pretty strong. So Ogring a Malulu on the board effect to fusion summon, I think is going to be pretty good. Other than that, your only real target is going to be Lucius, on summon effect a search, and you can Ogre that. It'll just at least trade with a monster off their board and kind of keep them off of as many materials as you can, but it replaces itself, so Ogring that is just not that much value. And besides that, Ogring, you're not really going to be able to Ogre their fusion monsters because they're going to be chain blocked most of the time, because whenever the fusion monster effect activates, they're also going to be activating the graveyard effects to set the spells or traps. So Ogring the fusion monsters is just not going to come up in general. But yeah, Ogre is just not too good. Of course, if they're playing Dracotail K9, then Ogre's pretty good against the Lupus effect to exceed summon, because then they can't, and Lupus gets banished, and it's really nice there. But against the Dracotail engine specifically, Ogre kind of not good. Let's talk about some of the other interruption hand traps. We'll talk about Infinite Impermanence and Songs of the Dominator kind of at the same time. So Imperm specifically, if you're going into a board, if you're going second into your Dracotail matchup, you can just start off by Imperming the Malulu in the standby phase or whatever, because Malulu is main phase only to quick effect fuse. But if they have Fade Mana in hand, it doesn't really matter. You can Imperm the Grammel, the fusion that will pop if they activate other Dracotail effects, and that'll just like stop that one from popping. But maybe they can make another one if their board is good or something. So I don't know, Imperming their board to start off the turn is like okay, but it's not wonderful. Imperming the normal summon is also going to be okay. Generally, I think Imperming the Malulu is going to be their best bet, because if they're summoning Malulu and activating effect to fuse, chances are that's their only way to fuse right now. But if they go normal summon Lucius and use effect to search and you try to Imperm, you can get hard punished by a Femena, so because that will use the Lucius as a material and it will dodge. But I mean, you might have to take that risk if you want to. Songs of the Dominator a little bit different though, that you can't dodge that because it negates the effect and doesn't negate the monster like Imperm does. So Songs, you can just shotgun that against their normal summon and it's going to be pretty solid. So against Lucius, just Songs that, or against Malulu, Songs that for sure. But there's not going to be a whole lot of other good targets for Impermanent Songs. Now we have the Dominus cards. We have Dominus Impulse. So Impulse is going to be pretty good. There's a lot of effect that summon. Just impulsing the Rahu, which is the branded fusion card, is going to be a pretty strong bet. And then also impulsing the Femena on your turn is going to be pretty good. That's their quick effect to fuse by discarding. Not only will it stop the fusion material, but it'll also trade with a monster out of their hand, which is going to be pretty strong. And it'll stop them from setting up any other follow-up. So yeah, I think impulsing Femena is going to be really good. But obviously, if your opponent's going first and they try to Rahu, just impulse that. Purge is pretty good. Stopping Ketu is pretty good, because Ketu, especially if you're going first and you set up a board and you purge the Ketu, that'll stop the search and the fusion summon both. So that's going to be a really good use of Purge. Other than that, just Purge Ketu anyway, the one that searches, because it'll keep them off of their quick effects like Femena, or keep them off of whatever piece that they are looking for. That's really your only opportunity to purge anyway. You might be able to purge the Lucius normal summon, but it's not going to come up too much. So just purge the Ketu, keep it simple. Droll and Lockbird against the pure deck, not that great. There's only like 2 search cards, which are Lucius and Ketu. So you're at most stopping 1 search in the engine. But if they're playing some other engine that searches a lot, then Droll could be good. So it's a side deck card against this deck, depending on what their other engine is. Lancea, awful, doesn't do anything. Nibiru is pretty bad, especially against the pure version. They're not summoning 5 times. If they're playing some other version, like combined with another deck or another engine like branded Dragon Maid or K9, Nib's also not good there, because K9 is going to set up a negate for Nib. Dragon Maid is going to set up a negate also. So maybe against branded it'll limit their board, but they're still going to get value. So it's just not great. Take Nib out against this deck. Let's talk about the draw cards like the Mulcharmys. We'll start with Phantazmay. It does nothing. They don't link summon here. Perulia, it's not good either. They'll normal summon from hand, and that's about the only summon from hand you're going to get, if that. So if you drop Perulia early and they have the right hand, they might not even summon from hand. So it's a dead card. Fualos, it's not great. You're going to trade at least 1 for 1 with Fualos, so that's something. but you're gonna get at most 2 draws. Really, they're gonna set up the 2 fusion monsters. However, of course, if they're playing other engines like branded, Flawless is pretty good against branded version. Flawless is probably also pretty decent against Dragon Maid version, but it's not wonderful. But yeah, you might get an extra draw in there. And then Meowls against the pure version, it's total crap. The only card that's specialist from Grave is Pan, like on turn 0, and like Pan's not going to come up unless you Ogre their fusion monster or whatever. So yeah, Meowls is just not going to do anything. You know, they can summon from Grave on your turn, or if they're playing some kind of combo version where they link off and summon back the fusion monster, maybe it'll come up, but it's at most 1 draw, and Meowth is just not good. Besides that, that's gonna kind of wrap it up. The Contact C card, Retaliating C card, those cards are okay, but they can play through those. There are options to make, so they're not wonderful and they're not great enough to play, in my opinion. But yeah, with that being said, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Let me know if I missed any hand traps in the comment section down below, and also let me know if there's any other decks that you want to see a hand trap guide on. All the other decks have been out for a long time, so I'm assuming you know how to hand trap them by now. But hey, if there is something that you want a little more guidance on, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to accommodate and do a hand trap video for you. And with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.